All right. Who gives this woman to be married today? All right, her father does. Everybody, thank you. Brian, would you like to join us? Y'all ready? Dear friends and family, Julie Jakubik and Brian Sullivan would like to thank you all for joining them here today to witness their union as husband and wife. Their hearts are touched with great happiness, and their souls are filled with much joy that you, their favorite and most beloved people, would join them for the most important day of their lives. These folks are happy too on the field. They're very happy. Many of you might have noticed that we are not in a traditional church this evening. Some of you might think that this is not a church at all, but brothers and sisters, some of you would be mistaken. As you all undoubtedly know, our bride Julie is probably the greatest Baltimore Ravens fan in the universe. Y'all like them too, huh? So for Julie, this is her church. For Julie, this is her preferred house of worship. And for Brian, having this wedding here is a great way to make sure that Julie can never be angry at him again. As long as they both live, maybe. All joking aside, though, this stadium is a sanctified place for our bride and groom. It is holy to them because this field is a major part of their wedding story. You see, Julie and Brian have been a couple for several years now. They share many of the same interests, hobbies, and loves, but perhaps their greatest shared love, other than their love for one another, is their affection for the great city of Baltimore and her team, the Ravens. As lovers of this mighty team, Julie and Brian's greatest hope every year is that the Ravens will make it to the championships. And as part of that hope, a few years ago, Brian made a promise to Julie that if the Ravens made it to the Super Bowl, he would propose to her. After waiting around for 3 seasons for them to make it, Brian could wait no longer, so finally, one September in 2012, he proposed to Julie anyway. Then, as if by divine providence, the Ravens had a breakout year. They went all the way to the championships, and they beat the San Francisco 49ers in New Orleans in 2013. Which leaves many of you Ravens fans here today asking the question, Brian, why can't you propose to Julie every September? This is truly a blessed day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. 2 people who love each other with their whole being. I won't shout over them, well, just... 2 people who love each other with their whole being are making the ultimate commitment to one another. They are making this commitment in front of their friends and family. They are affirming that they will be there for one another through good times and bad, and they already have a head start in this. Some of you may not be aware, but Brian and Julie fell in love during a moment of adversity. And even though it was a moment of adversity, it was also a moment of compassion and love. I'm not going to go into the whole story because I know you're all anxious to get to this great party that we're about to have. So I'm just going to take us to the red zone real quick. A few years ago, before Brian and Julie were officially seriously dating, Brian was involved in an accident in which he severely injured his leg. I believe that one of Julie's bridesmaids here, Brooke, might have been involved with that accident. I'm not saying that she had a direct hand in it. I'm just saying she has some inside information on how it occurred. But don't worry, Brooke, no one's upset with you because this accident was actually a catalyst of divine instrumentation, and you were part of that, so good job on doing God's will. When Brian was injured, Julie accompanied him to the emergency room. She actually even helped to set his leg. Brian was so overwhelmed by Julie's actions that he told her with sincerity that he loved her, to which Julie replied, "Dude, you're on morphine." Julie spent the next several months helping Brian to convalesce. During this time, they became close and their bond was solidified. And I think that it's apparent today that Brian is not under the influence of any medication, and we can all believe that both our bride and groom can say with full faith that they do truly love one another. So like I said, they have a head start in their union. Marriage is about loving and helping your partner. Marriage is about supporting, encouraging, and protecting the person you love most in this cosmos. Marriage is about sticking together through the tough times. It's about overlooking small faults and imperfections. It's about putting the needs of your lover over your own needs, even when it might be painful or inconvenient. Marriage is like a football game. Through the course of your experience together, you will gain yards, you'll lose some yards. You'll have epic wins. You might, hopefully not, but you might have some crushing losses. But if you stick together as a team and never give up, and always remember the basics of your training, or in the case of marriage, the spark that ignited your love, then you will gain more yards than you lose. You will have more defeats. You'll have more wins than defeats. You will definitely have more wins than defeats, guys. And hopefully you'll never end up playing in the Canadian League. Ring bearer, do you have the rings? If you would, please, give the rings to Brian and Julie. Brian, using this ring as a sign of your everlasting commitment to Julie, please place it upon her finger. Brian, do you promise to love Julie, to honor her, to protect her, to take care of her, to respect her, and stand up for her as long as you both live? Julie, using this ring as a sign of your everlasting commitment to Brian, please place it upon his finger. Julie, do you promise to love Brian, to honor him, to protect him, to take care of him, to respect him, and to stand up for him as long as you both live? Brian, do you take Julie to be your lawfully wedded wife? Julie, do you take Brian to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Having both committed your lives in love to one another, I now pronounce you man and wife. Brian, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brian and Julie Sullivan.
Then that time I went and said goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready to have a good time tonight? All right. It is now time for the introductions of the wedding party. Please feel free to clap and cheer them on. Introducing first, parents of the bride, Larry Smith and Debbie Smith. Let's make some noise. Parents of the groom, mother and stepfather, Carl and Lois Buckowitz. Ladies and gentlemen, your bridesmaids and groomsmen, Maria Rulo, escorted by Pete Sullivan, father of the groom. Kirsten Roller, escorted by Mark Miller. Brooke Paul, escorted by Chris Gabrielli. Crystal Marcourt, escorted by Michael Sullivan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in public, your newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Brian Sullivan. Along with them is the Ravens mascot. Let's make some noise.
I was like, good gracious, bodacious, flirtatious, trying to show patience. I'm waiting for the right time to shoot my steam. You know, waiting for the right time to flash them things.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. As they dance, the first dance as husband and wife.
Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. Hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy, its taste is on my mind. Girl, you got me thirsty for another cup of wine. Got a bug from you, girl, but I don't need no cure. I just stay a victim if I can for sure. All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on. Hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Brian Sullivan and your wedding party.
Let's bow our heads and go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we praise you and thank you so much, Lord, that you gathered us here together to celebrate Brian and Julie's wedding. And we pray for your blessing on our time together and pray that you bless the food. In Jesus' name, amen.
She's a lady. Whoa, 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 she's a lady. Talking about that little lady.
Well, all right, all right, all right. Looks like we got a party now, eh? Great looking crowd, really great looking crowd. And Julie and I would like to thank everybody that came out because we know how hard it is to get away. We know how tough it is to find time in everyone's busy schedule, so we really would like to thank you. Thank everybody for coming out. We'd also like to thank I'd like to thank Julie's parents, Debbie and Larry, for having such a wonderful daughter, such a beautiful, beautiful bride. I'd like to thank Debbie. She made all the flower arrangements that you see here. I'd like to thank Larry for having a house full of said flower arrangements for the last 6 months. I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank Lois and my stepfather, Carl Buckowitz. My father, Pete Sullivan, for always being there for me. I'd like to thank my mother in particular for putting up with me for the last 6 months. I didn't go easily into wedded bliss. She might be getting the impression that I'm not the bundle of joy I once was, maybe. You know, we've got a lot of people here from all over. And Julie and I love our city. We love Baltimore. Baltimore has a nickname Charm City, and it's a great city. But, you know, in the spring, there's been some things in Baltimore that weren't so great. So I have like a reoccurring nightmare where out-of-town guests were telling people, yeah, we're going to Baltimore for a wedding. They're like, you're going where? You're going to Baltimore? You know, they burn police cars in the streets there. But seriously, this town has a lot to offer, and I really hope that you guys went out and enjoyed yourselves today a little bit, got to see a little bit of the town, and you're welcome back anytime. Give me a call. You know, we're around. So fun wedding facts. Here's a fun wedding fact. September 19th, 2001, today, it's the day I moved to Maryland. 14 years to the day. 8 days after 9/11. That wasn't planned. I just realized it last week. You know, I don't know what I did for the first 7 years before I met Julie. Or I should say before she found me. She's a ray of sunshine. She really is. Another fun wedding fact. We have one of my groomsmen, Mark Miller. He's kind of a secret agent, so we had to have 2 other Mark Millers here just in case the bad guys came. So we've actually have 3 Mark Millers at our wedding. 3 Mark Millers. So the other 2 Mark Millers, you want to stand up? Stand up, stand up. There's one, there's the other one, and there's this guy right here. It's crazy. Again, not planned. True story, though, but not planned. So I would just like to tell you a little story. I don't know where I heard it, and I'm probably going to do a butcher job of it, but there's a boy and girl, and they're young, and they're in love. And one day, hey, Irishman with a microphone in one hand, drink in the other. You all better buckle up. So they're young, they're in love, And one day they go for a walk down by the river. And as they're walking along, he asks her, hold out your hand. And she holds out her hand, and into her hand he puts a handful of acorns. Just a handful of acorns. And he says, I wish these were diamonds. So they grow old together, they make money, they start a family, and one day they're walking along the river again. And he says, hold out your hand. And into her hand, he puts a handful of diamonds. Just a handful of diamonds. And he says, I wish these were acorns. So what I would like to say to Julie is, I hope I'm always able to give you what's really important in life. To us. Ladies and gentlemen, the original Mark Miller.
So, my mother always told me I was special, told me I was unique. 2 other Mark Millers in the room? What the hell? Brian and I have known each other for about 30 years. We first met in the 7th grade in a class called Unified Math. We took additional classes, Brian. We took a life skills class where we learned how to balance checkbooks. So when I look back upon how we started in school, it's clear. We weren't going to be doctors. We weren't going to be lawyers. We weren't going to be scientists. We were probably going to be salespeople, but we made it. Brian and I always did fine in school. We always did fine. We had many, many great times together. Mostly it was doing things fast, whether that was riding motorcycles, driving in boats, skiing. I'm happy we're here together in one piece. The Sullivan boys drive fast. My son and daughter, they're not going to drive till they're 20 years old. So we kind of learned something there. So it's an honor here to be here with Brian and Julie on their wedding day to celebrate. It took me 7 years to get engaged. I thought you were making it a competition, Brian. So congratulations. Nice job, Julie. My notes are upside down, so hopefully I'm doing all right here. So Brian was never into sports. I'm absolutely fascinated that we're here today in the house of Joe Flacco. Julie, it makes me think of the song When a Man Loves a Woman. I mean, this makes no sense. You've really done a nice job. So in school, again, not great students, but we had fun. We would hang out a lot, and we would talk about a lot. We would talk about women a lot, Brian. And mostly it was about the lack of success in getting them to date us. I mean, we were really bad. We were really bad. We didn't understand women. My wife, MJ, who can't be here with us today, she would still say I'm probably pretty bad. So, Julie, I hope Brian's a little better than me. So, fast forwarding high school days, prom. Brian, I don't know if you remember the prom, but I remember it was a big source of anxiety for you, big source of anxiety for me. Who's going to date us for the prom, the junior prom? So I get the first date. I'm excited. I remember Brian saying something to me like, dude, you got a date. He said, what am I going to do? So again, we're not numbers guys, but we were going to be in sales. That was what we were going to do. So we went on a marketing campaign. Brian, I can remember gym class, study hall, no stone unturned. We were okay. We were okay. We were okay. And we got you a very cute prom date. But no, it definitely wasn't a love affair. So at the end of the night, it didn't work out. But you still did better than me. My date went home with somebody else. So we graduate college. Brian goes to school about an hour away from me. We stay in touch. So I was told I had 3 minutes. I'm a little over. So in order to keep it PG and move things along, we're going to skip college, Brian. So I moved to New York City. Brian moves to Baltimore to work for Drag Specialties, his current company. His whole life, he's worked in motorcycles. It's his love, thanks to Pete. he's had tremendous success. So moves to Baltimore. I'm in New York City. Says one weekend he's going to come and visit me. And then he says, I'm bringing my girlfriend. That was you, Julie, yeah. It was a long time ago, Julie, I have to tell you. So he shows up, and I could see why he was so proud. Tremendous girl. In addition to being easy on the eyes, so genuine, so nice. It was clear that they had a tremendous connection. And something like 10 years later, we would all be here today. So I'm going to ask if we could raise our glasses to toast to Brian and Julie. To love, to laughter, to happy ever after.
Ladies and gentlemen, Crystal Marquardt.
Okay, so this right here tells you how much I love these two. I do not speak in front of anybody. This is huge for me, and I really suck at it, so I'm sorry in advance. So, closer? Yeah. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I am Julie's cousin, Crystal. We are more like sisters. We grew up together ever since we were small, of course. When we were younger, I would cut the hair off of her Barbie dolls, and which in turn would get us in trouble, and we'd be separated into different rooms. Well, we would talk through the vents within a matter of 30 seconds. We couldn't be quiet, and obviously we all know Julie can't be quiet either. But really, she lights up a room when she's anywhere near any of us. Her positive attitude and enthusiasm for life is contagious. And we love you. We love you so much. We're very happy for you. So on to Brian. And of course, I have just one small, quick story about Brian. The very first time we met you. He came to our house, and we were just playing a card game. We're having a couple beers. Before we knew it, our beer was gone. And he's like, Jeff's like, should we go out and get some more? And he's like, actually, in my trunk, I got a whole nother suitcase. He's like, I just didn't want to bring it in because I didn't want you guys to think I was a drunk. He's like, so at that point, we knew he'd fit just right in. And you always have. You make Julie so happy. You guys have a fantastic relationship. This is at the point where I would give you guys advice. Do this, don't do that. You guys are doing such a fantastic job. I have no advice to give you other than to continue to do what you are already doing. And I love you guys. So cheers to a prosperous, joyous, lovely life together. And I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Crystal. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Gabrielli, friend of mine for a long time. A lot of ups and downs together. A lot of things I hope he doesn't talk about. But ladies and gentlemen, Chris Gabrielli.
Thank you, Brian. Oh, where to start? It was a party in college, and Brian says Vegemite sandwich, and it started from there because, it was that song. What's the band? Come on, help me out here. They Laying Down Under, yeah. Anyway, long story short, we had a pretty good connection. We lived together for 7 years when I broke up with my ex, and I moved back to Connecticut. He was breaking up with his soon-to-be ex. We moved in together right across from the mental hospital in Middletown. We had this apartment. Thank you, Pete, for the very cheap. It was a really good deal. We had like a 3-bedroom apartment, 1.5 bath, $250 a month. I'm sorry I paid 2 weeks late every month, Pete. So, anywho, we always had these delusions of grandeur, like we were gonna have these parties. We were like, we're gonna pick up chicks and we're gonna have parties, and yeah, it just never it never happened. So we lived together 7 years. I meet my wife, my lovely wife now, Christine. It was kind of like the breaking point. Brian was like, well, all you do is hang out with her, and we don't hang out anymore. So we moved out of the apartment we were living in together, and then he moves to Baltimore. The best thing that ever could have happened to Brian is moving out of Connecticut. If anybody's living in Connecticut here, move out, okay? Really. This is a wonderful town. I've had an amazing time here. Brian is a little on the grouchy side. It's a little on the grouchy side. And I just must say, Julie is just like a ray of sunshine, okay? I came down for the bachelorette party. What was it? Bachelorette party? Is that what they called it? Jack and Jill. Sorry. Okay, so Brian's barking orders at me all day. I'm helping him out. Literally, we were running around getting booze and setting up lights and tents. And he's barking orders at me, but I just did it. And, it was fun. It was a fun party. But what I'm trying to say about Julie is the next day, I woke up at like 5 in the morning with a god-awful hangover. And you just hear Julie bouncing around upstairs going, and I was like, what in God's name? You stayed up till like 4 in the morning with the rest of us. She must have got 2 hours sleep. She's like, so whenever I think of Brian, you're the mean one, Mr. Grinch. Right? And Julie's like, a whole new world. And together you get on the wings of love, only the two of us together flying high. Right? Love these guys. Congratulations. Cheers. Cheers. All right. Where do I give this to?
Larry, ladies and gentlemen, father of the bride, my new father-in-law, Larry Smith.
Hi, everybody. How do I follow that last one? My goodness. But I want to talk a little bit about Jolie. When I got married about 25 years ago, God blessed me twice. First with my wife, Debbie, and then with my daughter, Julie. And what a blessing they both have been to me for a long, long time. And I remember Julie when she was a little girl. For Christmas, she wanted a New Orleans Saints coat. And I'm thinking, what? Well, we didn't have a football team at that time, but we got it for her. And she was very, very happy about that. And she was a very smart young lady and grew up to be a very intelligent young woman. She did well in school. She put herself through college and went to work for New York and Company and grew up in that company and rose through the ranks and runs that business in Columbia right now. And I'm just so proud of her, and I love her, and I'm just very blessed to be her father, and we love Brian, and we welcome you with open arms, our family, Brian. And my wife and I really mean that, and the rest of us. So we're very pleased and very happy. Along the way, we will watch football together, and she learned the sport quickly, and she fell in love with the Baltimore Ravens, and I don't have to tell you that. Look at where we are right now. That's amazing. So I would like to propose a toast to Brian and Julie Sullivan. Raise your glasses. May the love that you two share right now grow into a love that's more about commitment than feelings, more about giving than taking, a love that's selfless, that benefits the other person, a long-lasting love that grows into a happy, loving, intimate marriage. Salute.
If I were the sun way up there, I'd glow with love most everywhere. I'll be the moon when the sun goes down, just to let you know that I'm still around. That's how strong my love is. Whoa, that's how strong my love is. That's how strong my love is, baby, baby. That's how strong my love is. I'll be the weeping willow, drowning in my tears, and you can go swimming when you were here. And I'll be the rainbow after the tears are gone, wrap you in my colors and keep you warm. That's how strong my love is, darling. That's how strong my love is, baby. That's how strong my love is. Whoa, that's how strong my love is. I'll be the ocean so deep and wide, and catch all the tears whenever you cry. I'll be the breeze after the storm is gone, to dry your eyes and love you on. That's how strong my love is, baby. That's how strong my love is. That's how strong my love is, darling. That's how strong my love is again. That's how strong my love is, so deep and wide. That's how strong my love is. So much love, that's so much love. Whoa, that's so much love, that's so much love. Anything that's hard to do, I will do it for you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Julie and her father. A round of applause. Up next, we have the mother-son dance. If I can have Brian come out to the dance floor to be accompanied by his mother.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Brian and his mom. Round of applause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the newlyweds to cut their wedding cake. All right, Julie's got her football. That is the bouquet. I need all the single ladies out here on the dance floor. We're going to do a count off here. Julie, don't do anything yet. Let's get all the single ladies out here on the dance floor. All right, do we have all the single ladies? All right, here we go, Julie. In 3, 2, 1, toss it. All right. All right, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to officially open up the dance floor. We have a little bit over an hour. Let's make it count, guys. The dance floor is officially open. Please come on out.